don't eat that, don't eat that.
Let's see what kind of effect that has on us.
A bear did cocaine.
And we'll kill anyone who gets in our way.
No, not kill anyone.
Kill a few people.
Kill no people.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
Now you're just making it sad.
Hey, thanks for clicking. This is the one and only After School podcast. I am Trent Kelsey.
And I'm Jesse Johns.
So for today's episode, we had a request to kind of go over our most anticipated movies of 2023. I know in our previous episode, we were talking about our favorite movies that we saw in 2022 and some of our least favorites. We won't be going into some of the, unless you want to, Jesse. I mean, there's some that I might be able to talk about, but we won't be going into the movies we don't really want to see in 2023. But we will kind of discuss the movies that we're anticipating seeing. I know there's a good list of movies out there, some that have been announced, some have trailers. So yeah, let's just kind of hop right into it. We've seen a lot of interesting trailers for movies coming out in 2023. And it seems to be, you know, I always like, you know, seeing like something new, something fresh, something original. And we're getting a bit of that this upcoming year. I don't know if it's been better, if it's any better than like previous years, but you know, there's a lot to look forward to. And Jesse, if you just wanted to kind of like, you know, expand upon that, or you know, just kind of like hop right into it. What's one movie on your list? You know.
Well, my list is in no particular order. I guess the big one this year is going to be Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's just because I'm looking for it because it's two-parter, so it's going to be interesting to see how. Because I'm not sure if they're going to wrap up the Mission Impossible series, but we'll just have to see. So.
Yeah, when did you know when like the first trailer for that one came out? Because I want to say, did we see it in like Top Gun Maverick? Was that whenever we first saw the trailer for Dead Reckoning Part 1, or?
I think it was. I know it was playing during when we were watching Maverick, but I think the trailer like came out like a week before Top Gun Maverick came out. So
right.
So I think that's what it was. And then when I saw the trailer for that, it was kind of a little interesting teaser. I know by the time of this video, we haven't got a newer trailer for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. But anyway, I know there's one dude. Trent, have you got a chance to see all them yet or not yet?
No, I haven't actually seen any of the Mission Impossible movies. I have them all. I have the collection up to Fallout, I believe, but I haven't watched them yet. They've been on my list for a while, and I like a lot of the directors that they've gotten to make them throughout the series. But yeah, probably leading up to Dead Reckoning Part 1, I'll try to get through the movies. How many are there so far?
There are about to be 7 because Dead Reckoning Part 1 is number 7.
Oh, okay, so I guess there's less than I figured. So you got Mission Impossible, and then is it just 2 and 3?
It's just 2 and 3, and then you got Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout.
Okay. I think Rogue Nation was the one that I was blanking on. Yeah, I really like the way the first trailer ends with Tom Cruise is like he's like going off on a motorcycle, right? He's like, which I mean, knowing Tom Cruise, that's like definitely like a real stunt, I guess.
Well, Tom Cruise, he's the same, bro.
Yeah. He tries to push himself further and further with every movie. But yeah, that's probably one that I'll enjoy seeing in theaters if I get around to it, and I want to see the originals first. So I've just got to like take the time to get through those. You know, they seem to be really fun movies. I've heard not Ghost Protocol, Fallout. I've heard Fallout is really good.
It's awesome. I love Fallout. I agree with Seth Kirkman, so I know we have him in our previous episodes. I can't remember what episode it was, but remember he said like Mission Impossible movies, they're like one of those few movies that gets better with every new one.
Right.
It's true because it does get better with every new one. I know a lot of people were saying about Ghost Protocol is their favorite. Some say Rogue Nation is their favorite, but me, I think Fallout is. But the reason why it's not about the stunts. I mean, yes, the stunt is amazing. Don't get me wrong, right? It's just that it has. I thought Fallout had a perfect story. You know.
Yeah. I really like the trailer to Fallout. It seemed to be like really intense.
Yeah.
Something I do like about the series, not having seen it, but something I kind of admire is like they kind of like change up directors a little bit. I know Brian De Palma directed the first one. He's directed like classics like Carrie and Scarface. John Woo, didn't he? Is it that's the guy? He directed the second one, I want to
Yeah.
say. Yeah, yeah. He's known. And then I don't really know the name of the other ones, but it kind of gives like a different feel to every movie, I suspect, because you kind of have the same basic concept of they're taking on a new mission, but also like it's told from a different like visual point or visual, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a different eye, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Well, I think after Ghost Protocol, it just levels up. They took it like a whole new level,
Right.
So that's why I think it's pretty cool. That's why I'm looking forward to Dead Reckoning, the two parts. So
Yeah. Do you think it's
uh,
gonna? I mean, a lot of times with like part one and part twos, part one is kind of like, I guess like filler in a way. I know the Hunger Games Mockingjay part one. That movie was probably like the weakest of the series, just because like part two kind of came out to revive the story, I guess.
to wrap
But
it up, you think?
yeah, but I mean, like with a Possible type movie, I don't really think like part one is probably going to falter. It's probably just going to be two halves of the same story, which I guess is what it's intending to be. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I get it. No, I'm just looking forward to watching that. To name a few, I won't get into great detail because we kind of talk about Mission Possible a little bit too long, but that's okay.
ah,
That's what we're talking about for, right?
right.
Uh, I seen the trailer for John Wick 4. I'm looking forward to watching that. I mean, I like John Wick series. I'm looking forward to what they have for number 4. Uh,
Yeah, I've still
uh,
only seen the first one. I haven't like continued on with the series. I like the first one as like a fun action movie, but I mean, I didn't really there wasn't anything compelling me to like continue the series. I'm sure they're good. I'm sure they get better. But
yeah,
yeah, that first one was enough for me, at least at this point.
yeah. I would say number 2 is the best. The 3 is probably the weakest in my opinion.
That's
It's
a
just because
Parabellum or something like that?
Parabama. It wasn't bad. It just when it got to like the ending part, it kind of dragged a little bit
Right.
because I mean, if you watch it, you kind of get what I'm talking about. I mean,
Do they
it
get
might not actually.
longer? Do they get longer as the series goes on?
I don't know about longer because I know they run a little over 2 hours. I mean, the first one might have been under 2 hours. I don't remember. I mean,
Right.
speaking of today, I read this new one. It's going to be 2 hours and 49 minutes long. I was like, oh god, this is going to be the longest one. So
Yeah, that's kind of been like a growing trend lately. Like you have more like longer movies coming out. I know the Batman was over 3 hours, Babylon is over 3 hours. And I'm sure there's others, but I think like studios are willing to take a chance on longer movies at this point because they're the people are going to go see it regardless. Sometimes from like a marketing standpoint, it would make more sense to make it shorter. You can show it in a theater more times, but I think like if a movie is paced well, there's nothing really wrong. There's nothing really wrong with having a long run time. So
right. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching John Wick. I seen the trailer for Cocaine Bear. That looks kind of funny.
I've been
I
seeing the
do want to
trailer
watch
for
it.
that. I remember reading about that story because it's based on a true story, and then
Uh-huh.
hearing like, yeah, they bought the film rights and somebody's going to make a movie out of it, and I kind of forgot about it for a little while until I saw the trailer, and it reminded me of whenever I first heard about that. So I think that one could definitely be like a wild ride of a movie. It's it seems to be like that's not really a movie that you could classify as stupid because it's kind
Right.
of just it's all in the title really. It's like it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You're getting what you're paying for. So that could
Right.
definitely be like an interesting movie. Who knows? It
Yeah.
might win Best Picture. We'll see. I mean, I'd love to see that.
Who knows? I think it was kind of funny. So I've been wanting to watch that. It was kind of
Yeah.
funny to me.
Uh, who's the actor in it? He
I
he
can't
hasn't
remember.
he hasn't really been in much lately. He used to be like he Unless I'm totally wrong, I've only seen the trailer briefly, but it looks like it's the guy from Speed Racer Into the Wild. I want to say his name like Emil Hirsch, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, but
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I like him as an actor. He's just not like you don't really see him in a lot of like big movies anymore. I'm sure he gets
right.
work, but yeah. So
Yeah,
so that'll be interesting.
yeah. I'm looking forward to watching Cocaine Bear. Uh, Fast 10 or Fast X, that's the new one's called. Beyond this point, I'm about badass when it comes to superhero movies because remember I said in the Marvel movies, I think the movies just run its course. I just think Fast Furious has two, but when I saw a trailer for Fast 10, it looked kind of awesome, honestly. Just looking at the trailer for it because but again, I think the Fast and Furious franchise kind of runs its course. Oh, speaking of two part, this is gonna be a two part too. Is what I heard.
Seriously?
Uh huh.
Oh my gosh. Like
Well, did you see the trailer for Fast 10?
I did. I let it be known I stopped at 7. That was enough for me. Um, 8 and 9, I didn't really. I mean, I didn't watch them. It was just kind of like something I wasn't interested in. The trailer seems like it would be something that would be appealing to the fans, but to me it was just kind of funny, like just how serious like they're taking this. The Fast and Furious movies have always been like totally ridiculous, and that the
Right.
whole concept of family and all that kind of thing has been memed to death, and they seem to like really be they seem to be using the whole family trope a lot in this trailer. I think they said the word family like 15 times. And then you have
Right.
all these like really like angsty shots of like Dominic Toretto holding like the bloody cross, and like they're taking it so seriously. And I I find it funny just because I'm not like really into the Fast and Furious franchise. It just seems like so over the top and so melodramatic and so edgy.
Right.
Um, but and like I know the cast members like they have like a really genuine connection, and they always seem to like enjoy working together. So who knows, maybe they take it seriously, but also like there's an element of like just kind of humor to it. I don't know if it's intentional, it might just be me, but it seems like they're taking it so far that it's becoming like self-parody, which I mean, I think Fast and Furious became self-parody in like 5, but
Right.
that's just my like view on the franchise at this point.
Right. No, the last one. Speaking of over the top, on Fast 9 or F9, what the title was actually called. In my opinion, they just went way too over the top when it comes to the action scenes on that one. Which I'm not going to try to talk about it too much because yeah, it's just yeah, Fast 10. I'm looking for. It's kind of interesting seeing Jason Momoa, maybe he plays Aquaman in the DCEU. Who's going to be playing the villain. So
Yeah. He seems to be like they're really portraying him to be this really bad dude, but again, like it's just so over the top. It's like it's comical to me. He's cutting people up and then licking the blood off the knife, which is something that it's parody at this point.
right,
It's just
right,
so I mean it's just so extreme, and
right, yeah,
they're rewriting it again. So where he was in Fast 5, right? That's the one with the safe. So
yeah. Fast
they
Five.
yeah they took his money, and now he's after them. And Fast and Furious, like every trailer, it's always like, oh, you thought this character was dead. Oh, you never saw this character before. Well, now they're
Right.
back, and it's like a reference to something that happened in a previous movie. It's just kind of funny, like how it repeats itself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I'm interested in seeing Fast 10. My opinion, they just need to wrap the story up and just call it good. Honestly,
Well,
just
I mean, they keep making them because people keep seeing them. So I mean that's the same with everything. Like they might say it's the last one, but there's going to be Hobbs and Shaw too, and who knows, maybe something with Dominic Toretto's son. He seems to be a key character in this new one. So, but the studios will follow the money. So as long as people keep seeing them, whether they're seeing them genuinely or ironically,
mm,
there's still going to be milking this franchise as long as it's putting butts in seats. So
right. Yeah. No, I wouldn't mind seeing other movies in the future. Just just the main story. I think it needs to wrap up, but you never know. I mean, it could be a movie about Dom's son or Brian's kids.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
I think like the series did wrap up in like Furious 7,
yeah,
but you know that they're always able to pull that dead horse out of its grave and beat it with a stick. So
right,
yeah,
yeah,
keep it kicking.
right. But yeah, Fast 10. I'm looking forward to watching that. Marvel movies. I'm looking forward to watching Ant-Man 3 and Guardians 3. And again, I said it before. The last few Marvel movies let me down, especially I think we all agreed Thor: Love and Thunder. That was definitely.
That was the worst movie of 2022, genuinely.
I
Um,
think I think I think Morbius was honestly.
Morbius, I mean, at least
Did you watch
Morbius
it?
was funny. Like,
Wait, did you watch? Did you watch it?
no, no, I haven't seen it, but like, you know, the whole like it's Morbin time meme, that at least made it funny. Thor: Love
Yeah,
and Thunder was trying to be funny and it wasn't,
and it came out trash.
which makes it so much worse. Like Morbius was trying to be serious.
Yeah.
And when something's
Well,
trying to be serious and it turns out funny, that's so much better than when something is trying to be funny and it's just not funny. Like that's the worst. That's the worst thing you can do, or that's the worst thing you can watch. Like there's just no fun to be had
right.
whatsoever in that viewing experience, you know. Yeah, I think Taika Waititi, he just kind of like he just kind of sleepwalked through that whole thing. That being said, I think James Gunn has consistently made good movies. I love and like I think like Guardians kind of stands apart from the Marvel universe. It's kind of like its own thing, and I've always enjoyed like the vibe of those movies. It's definitely a style I'm like totally into. So I'm really looking forward to this next one. Um, and as for Ant-Man, I really I like the first Ant-Man movie. The second one isn't bad. It's just kind of forgettable. But I think like
Yeah.
Peyton Reed, I think he does a good job with those movies. And you know, I like the whole concept of quantum mania and how strange they're taking it. It seems to
Right.
be it's probably going to be like in the same vibe as like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like they're really taking the characters and throwing them into more like colorful situations. That's something that you didn't really get out of superhero movies in the last, but before like the last 10 years. Usually everything was always like set in the city or in the real world kind of thing. Whereas like in the
Yeah.
comics, characters like the Fantastic Four, they were always off in space or something like that. You never really got that out of the movies. But
Yeah.
I'm interested to see like where this takes the whole, because I don't want the Marvel universe to quit. I think they have produced more bad movies than good ones in the
Yeah.
past couple years or so. But I'm still interested in seeing like where they take Secret Wars, the Kang Dynasty, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not like really like a comics guy, but I'm more of like I'm more of a like a film fan. But I am aware of those like elements of the comics, and I would like to see that kind of thing put to screen if it's done well.
Yeah.
Um, my main issue with Marvel lately is that the first phase, the Infinity Saga, that really like it introduced a lot of stuff, but it all tied together in the end. I don't really know like where Thor: Love and Thunder and Eternals and all this crap that they've been putting out lately is really going to tie together. I think a lot of that stuff can just totally be forgotten at this point. I could be
Yeah.
wrong. Who knows where they'll take it? But stuff like Doctor Strange, WandaVision, Quantum Mania, all this stuff is probably going to culminate into some weird like universe-wide event, and
Yeah.
that it's going to be the next Infinity Saga level threat. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested in seeing like where it goes. I'm hoping it's not like Thor: Love and Thunder where it just feels like the ending means nothing. You know what I mean? Like it didn't even really need to be made. But
Yeah.
I have faith in Peyton Reed. I'm not really familiar with his like work outside of Ant-Man. He's not a director that has like a very distinct visual style, but I think he fits the character. I know they were going to go with Edgar Wright for Ant-Man, and a lot of people were disappointed that that didn't happen. But the main problem with that was Edgar Wright, he didn't want to be tied to like the Marvel Universe continuity. He kind of wanted to do his own thing, which would have been really cool, but it wouldn't have fit. It like Marvel is its own thing, and I know a lot of people have a problem with that, but That's kind of what I like about it. I like whenever it all like ties together in the end, but also like every individual movie has to work on its own kind of thing. And it just kind of seems like all these movies that have been, by themselves aren't going anywhere. They're making an attempt, but it just doesn't mean much. But yeah, that's basically like my Marvel spiel. I am looking forward to Quantumania and of course Guardians 3. Just Guardians 3 for different reasons, because Guardians 3 is like, I like James Gunn and the whole Guardians, not universe, but like the whole vibe of those movies.
Right.
And I'm interested in Quantumania because I do like Ant-Man, and I'm interested in seeing where it goes.
Yeah. No, I am too. But yeah, the superhero movies, I don't know where they're going at this point. But I won't say much about Marvel. I'm just hoping, I'm praying to God that it's good. When Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Guardians Volume 3.
Right.
But and Trent, yeah, and actually the way you just described it makes sense to me. So I don't really need to explain why I'm most excited for Ant-Man and Guardians 3. So
Right. I do share the opinions of a lot of pretentious film nerds who
right.
hate Marvel. But I don't share their opinion of Marvel because I am a Marvel fan. I love, original content and like A24 and that kind of thing. But at the same time I love Marvel because I kind of see it for as it is. What I don't like is when other studios try to make their own Marvel thing. I don't think that ever really works. But I like I think they've been doing it well, and I try to follow both sides of the whole movie scene, I guess.
Right. No, I get it. But no, that's Marvel. I won't talk about much. I am looking forward to Dungeons and Dragons. That looks kind of funny to me. Besides, I like to see dragons on the screen, but that's all I'll say about Dungeons and Dragons.
I haven't really seen much of that. But it's like based on the game, right?
I think it is. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make sense, but
Yeah.
I haven't really seen much of it.
It just looks kind of cool to me. That's why I kind of want to watch it. I'm want to watch Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. It's Harrison Ford's last time. He said it is his last time, so we'll see.
Yeah, until he dies, and they have a CGI scan of his face, and they can use him for 200 years.
Right.
Because Disney would do that.
Right. What else? I think there's. Oh, I got told we're supposed to begin another Expendables movies coming out this year.
Really? What are they on now? 4?
Yeah, 4. But I heard that
are all of them still alive?
I think most of them are still going to be in Expendables 4. But I heard what the story is. Sylvester Stallone's character, he's not going to be in it very long. I think he's in it for like a few scenes. That's it. But I heard that Jason Statham's character is going to take the lead. But I don't know much of the story, so I don't know the cast and all that. I mean, I enjoyed these Expendables movies. I know a lot of people kind of hated 3 because it wasn't rated R, it was PG-13. Which
that never really makes sense to me because like I could understand if you wanted to make the first one PG-13, to sell more tickets to younger audiences. But if you've already have the franchise going, you got 1 and 2 that are rated R, and then you shift 3 down to PG-13, then you're going to lose the original audience that you had, and it's not like younger audiences are going to want to go to the third installment of a movie that they're not allowed to see. Now, I mean, a lot of them probably have, rating systems have never really prevented that. Yeah, that just seems so backwards to me. I didn't even know about that. That's kind of interesting. And also, like, if you think about it, the younger people who ended up seeing Expendables 1 and 2 would already be old enough to buy an R-rated movie ticket by the time 3 comes out. So you're alienating them too. It's so dumb.
Yeah, it's a weird coincidence. I'm not even sure what Expendables 4 is going to be rated. It's probably maybe rated R. I don't know. We'll see. But no, other than that, I don't really have much anticipated movies. I kind of already explained what movies I'm interested in.
Okay.
Trent, you're next. What is...
So, you already mentioned Cocaine Bear. That was on my list. That's one I'm going to have to check out. in terms of like, you brought up superhero movies. I am interested in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but also into Across the Spider-Verse, the Into the Spider-Verse sequel. Did you ever see the
Mhm.
first one, by the way?
Yeah, I did. I only seen it just the one time. It was okay movie. I mean, it
Oh,
wasn't
I
like
I love it. I mean, I share the same opinion as everybody. This is stuff has all been said before, but the animation is spectacular. I
mm,
love the twist on Spider-Man. It's I like Miles Morales as a character, and I think
yeah,
Lord and Miller are fantastic directors, and basically everything that they've been involved with has been really good. Like their movies always stand out. Uh,
right.
and I'm just really interested in seeing where they take it. I love Spider-Man as a character. And I know this whole like different Spider-Man universes thing is totally different than like the Spider-Man I grew up with, but I think it's a really like interesting concept that you can do a lot with. I think it's an opportunity that would be um very difficultly wasted, if that's a word.
Right.
So yeah, that's just one. The 65, this movie that I think has a really stupid title, but it's Adam
Oh,
Driver
okay. Yeah.
on he's either on a planet with dinosaurs or it's Earth in the past. I don't know. Same either writers or producers. So the people involved with it are the people who are involved with A Quiet Place, and I think
Okay.
both The Quiet Place movies are really good. So
Yeah, I
if
do too.
their output is anything like those movies, I think it could be really good. And I like Adam Driver. There hasn't really been that many good dinosaur movies since the big one, Jurassic uh, Park, World, all that. So I think that one could be interesting. I might
Yeah.
miss it in theaters, but it could be something I would definitely check out if it comes to streaming or whatever. So 65 it won't be at the top of my list, but it's definitely something I'm interested in.
Mhm.
Um, Renfield. We got to talk about Renfield.
You've
I
been telling me
think.
about it. You've been telling me about it. I have not seen trailer of Greenfield. No.
So, do you know anything about it?
No.
Okay. So, the character of Renfield is a character that's been in the Dracula mythos, I guess, ever since the original Dracula novel. Um, so the movie is centered around him. It's set in modern day, and basically he is Dracula's henchman, like his main guy. And what
Right.
he does is he kidnaps people and he brings them to Dracula so that he can, suck their blood and eat them, whatever, and gain power. The interesting premise of this movie is that Renfield is tired of being Dracula's, right hand man, whatever, and
Yeah.
he's trying to break free of Dracula's hold. And so it's about him fighting Dracula while at the same time, dealing with like psychological issues or something like that. It's a comedy. It's an action comedy. Has Nicholas Hoult, who you might know from like the X-Men movies, and other stuff. Aquafina, she's in it, and the man himself, Nicolas Cage, plays Dracula, which,
Really.
I'm not the first one to say it, but I think that's the part that he was born to play. He's always said he was influenced heavily by, like early horror cinema, things like that. It's a part that he was really excited to take on. And he just loves that stuff. If you ever heard of like
Right.
Vampire's Kiss, it's a iconic Nicolas Cage film where he believes he's turned into a vampire. There was a lot of great instances of his iconic performances in that. So
Right.
that's something I'm really looking forward to. I will definitely be catching that one in theaters. So if you haven't seen the trailer for that, by all means, check it out. It just seems like it's going to be a great time.
Right.
So,
I'll have to look in. I'll have to watch that trailer whenever we get done with this
oh,
podcast.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, Renfield is a close second to my most favorite, my most anticipated movie of 2023. And this is a movie that has to take the top spot because of how long I've been waiting for it. Renfield might have been the top one if I had known about it as long. But
Right.
that one was announced like not too long ago. I could be wrong. I know I only heard about it recently. But my top most anticipated movie of 2023 has to be Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. that, like,
Oh,
I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. And I even like Tenet. I know that was probably a movie that wasn't as received well as many of his others, but I have high hopes for Oppenheimer. I love the cast. It's an insane cast too. Like, I know it's
yeah,
been said, like, it doesn't seem real. Like when you go to the cast list, it's like, how are they going to fit, enough runtime for all of these actors? Because it's not
right,
like, a lot of movies have big casts. Like, I'm not saying that's not the case, but this movie has a cast of people who are often like the top billed actor in any movie that they're in. But, you got Matt Damon, you got Robert Downey Jr., several others. But, Cillian Murphy takes the top spot. And, I think there's something really cool about that. And, I like I said, I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. My favorite movie is a Christopher Nolan movie, that being The Prestige.
yeah.
And
I remember I watched the Prestige. I remember. I think you recommended me the Prestige, Trent. I remember.
probably I recommend it to a lot of people.
Right. Well, because I was like, what's so special about the Prestige? Well, actually, what I did was I went to our local used store and I bought it
Hmm.
for $2.99, so $3. I was like,
That's
yeah. I was like, I watched it for that, and when I got home, watched it. I was like, yeah, interesting, right? When the ending happens, I was like, you gotta be kidding me,
Yep.
because that was now that makes a whole lot of sense. So
The great thing about it is when I first watched it, it wasn't my favorite movie. I thought it was pretty good, but there was a lot that I didn't understand about it. But it's one of those movies, and I always love this when this happens, is it's one of those movies when you watch it again and again, you notice more things. You like even now, having seen it as many times as I have, I'm still noticing more and more the more that I watch it. And of course, I don't want to give away, any of the twists, any of the spoilers, anything like that. I will just say if you like puzzle movies, if you like movies that reveal more about themselves the more you watch them,
yeah,
um, The Prestige is, it's a perfect fit.
right,
So Oppenheimer, I believe it's Nolan's second movie about like real events. He did Dunkirk, which was new for him.
yeah,
Um,
Dunkirk. I really like Dunkirk. So
and it just seems like such an epic story to take on, the man who invented the atomic bomb. That it's such a
yeah,
hard uh you know it's such a hard thing to like hold over yourself. You know what I mean?
well,
I'm trying to think of a word, but
right,
burden. It's such a hard burden to carry. And
right.
I think Cillian Murphy definitely has the chops to take on that kind of role, to embody that type of character. And I'm just interested in seeing how it plays out. I know Nolan, even in his movies that portray real events like Dunkirk, he likes to portray it in a totally different way. And
Yeah,
this is also a movie that's probably going to jump around, timelines and all that kind of thing. It's going to go back and forth. I could be wrong, but with Nolan, you never really know what you're going to get. It's going to be confusing. It's going to be different, but you never know exactly how it's going to play out, and that's what I love about it.
right.
Um,
Speaking of the what's it called, Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer, yeah.
Oppenheimer. When I saw a trailer for that and then seeing directed by Christopher Nolan, I said I like Nolan, so I think this might be a good turnout. But since you mentioned it, I totally forgot about that movie's coming out. I mean, like you said, it has a good cast: Cillian Murphy,
Let's
who,
see. Robert Downey Jr.,
yeah,
Matt
Robert Downey
Damon.
Jr.
Um,
Is Florence Pugh supposed to be in it?
yeah, Florence Pugh is in it. Josh Peck from Drake and Josh is in it,
Right.
which
Yeah.
I think is awesome.
Uh,
Benny Safdie, one of the Safdie brothers, director of Uncut Gems, Good Time, two of some of my favorite movies. Um, and
is Emily Blunt? Is she supposed to be in it?
that was the one I was trying to remember her name. Yes, she is in it. Uh, just so many more people.
Right.
It's
All
it's
star
it's really
cast.
an insane cast. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like whenever you search for like casts on Google, this is why I use IMDb, because like when you go on Google, sometimes you're gonna get stuff that isn't true. But when you
Right.
when you search up the cast list, like it seems like it's not real, but it
Right.
is. Yeah, it's I don't think I've ever really seen a movie with a cast like that packed, but like other than like ensemble pieces like Ocean's 11, that kind of thing, which even those don't really have the same cast that this does. Just trying to think of an example, but yeah, that is my most anticipated movie of 2023. especially since Nolan, like, he always takes his time in between movies, so it's always
He
interesting to
does.
see. It's always such a build up to see what he does next. Um,
Yeah, and you're right. He does take his time with movies. I know a lot of people complained about Tenet. Uh,
mhm.
I think my biggest problem with Tenet, because I remember that was the one that came out in 2020 during the pandemic when he was actually trying to fight for Tenet to be played for on in theaters. And I was looking up what Tenet was. I was like, oh, it's Christopher Nolan. It's like because I
Right.
like it. I like his direction. So I ended up seeing Tenet. But the thing is that I know a lot of people have problems with the dialogue. I mean, I understand because honestly, because you hear the music more, you hear the two people talking.
Yeah, the audio mix was very controversial, I guess you'd say.
So
It's not the best mixed movie.
so that's my only issue with Tenet. So that's why Tenet was not the best Christopher Nolan that he did. I mean, he tried his best, but I think it would be better if the dialogue mix wasn't, you know, as low like it should have been.
My main problem with Tenet was it didn't make any sense. Like,
Oh
I know
yeah,
it probably makes sense to Christopher Nolan, but like even the actors, they didn't know what was going on. Like in interviews they admit that they were confused the entire time. They just kind of went along with it. And
right,
there are like breakdown videos, there are videos that try to explain exactly what's going on. But if the movie itself loses you, and it's not like Inception. Like, I remember when Inception came out, that was a movie that confused a lot of people, but at the same time it explains itself as it goes along. The more times you watch it, the more you understand it. And at this point, Inception, like, it makes sense. It's not really that confusing. um
right.
Tenet, I've watched it a few times at this point. I've watched breakdown
Twice.
videos, I've watched explanation. I still, like, there's still things that don't make sense to me about that movie. And
Right,
I think like something like that could have been helped if it was less cold, like if it was more human. Like the characters in the movie, they kind of felt like um expositional robots in a way, like they were just kind of there to like explain what's going on, even though it still didn't really uh make sense like what they were saying.
right,
It is also a movie where they tell you, turn off your brain, just go along with it, don't try to understand it. But whenever you try not to understand it and you're constantly getting fed exposition, what is there to latch on to? You know what I mean? And I think it's a movie that handles action well. It's very like it's interesting concept for like action set pieces and fighting a guy who's going backwards, that kind of thing. You never really see that. So that those are things that can be enjoyed from that movie, but at the same time, it's not one that you can really emotionally connect to. And even movies like Interstellar, where it was also kind of confusing with the whole like space time, all these like big concepts. It still had extremely emotional moments. I think that scene with Matthew McConaughey watching like recordings of his daughter over the
right.
years is like one of the most heartbreaking scenes ever. And it's put in a movie with all these like big scientific concepts that's hard to grasp, but at the same time, you can take that away whenever it ends. Like you will remember those emotional moments, but there's not really anything like that in Tenet. It's more of just like this idea that Christopher Nolan had, and he really wanted to show it, which I mean, I still admire the man. I love that he's bold enough to take on these big ideas and bring them to fruition. But it's not a movie like that I'm you know eager to see right away. uh
Yeah,
that being said, I did watch it a few times, so I mean, I got something out of it.
yeah, yeah.
But Oppenheimer, I mean, like I said, it's my most anticipated movie of 2023. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really interested in seeing how he tackles this big story. It seems like it's going to be really epic. You know what I mean?
I hope it's a good movie. I mean, actually, I forgot all about that movie, so I don't know why I didn't mention that before. But uh, yeah, that Oppenheimer. When I seen this about the bombing, I was like, oh, this could be. I don't know if I'll get to go to the theater and see it right away,
Hmm.
but I will watch it. Because I am looking forward to seeing how this goes.
I've heard that. Well, Christopher Nolan, he's like he's a purist in a way. He doesn't really like to use CGI that much. He does use CGI here and there, but if he can do it on film for real, he will do it for real. Um, so I heard for this movie, they actually and I don't know like how true this is, but basically what I've heard is they actually set off a real atomic explosion for the movie, and I don't know if it's like the same scale, like if it's like an actual explosion like they did in the time, but it's a real explosion, and I think that that's going to be something that's interesting to see on film, you know.
Right.
It's something you could easily do with CGI, but he just doesn't want to, and I find that really I find that really intriguing, you know. I
Right.
want to see that. So
Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching I can't even say it now. Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, yeah,
Oppenheimer.
yep.
Yeah. Y'all. If you YouTube subscribers want to make fun of me for my speech, go right ahead.
Ah,
I know.
I've been mumbling my way through this whole thing, so you're good.
No. Like I said, Christopher Nolan. I mean, I grew up with his Batman movies, and I love the Dark Knight movies. I mean, I think I think that's probably his. In my opinion, that's probably like his best work. In my opinion, is when he
Right.
directed the Dark Knight movies.
Yeah, I think those.
Other than the Prestige, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the Prestige is like a personal favorite of mine, but I can definitely see how like the Batman movies are like people's favorite Christopher Nolan movies. And like again, like the Prestige, I think it's a perfect movie, but I think that's because of like the message that I see in it. I personally see it as a way of Christopher Nolan explaining like his love for creating films. But that might not even be true. That's just my reading of it, you know. But yeah, the Dark Knight, it's is like one of the most it's a movie that stands alone. It's influenced a lot of superhero movies that have come since it, but before that there wasn't really anything like it. So I think that would have to be a close second for me
Yeah,
in terms of
absolutely.
his filmography.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to what this movie has. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. It's always good to see directors who don't make movies very often. They kind of take their time, make sure it's as good as it could possibly be. So that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to.
yeah, absolutely. And Christopher Nolan, we're cheering for you.
Yep. I hope.
Uh,
Well, it's also going to be premiering the exact same day as Greta Gerwig's Barbie, so I think that's going to be interesting to
oh
see.
yeah,
Yeah,
Margot
I
Robbie.
mean that movie could be interesting on its own. Greta Gerwig, she's a talented filmmaker herself, so yeah,
Right,
I think that's kind of funny the contrast there. People,
right,
I saw some people have been making like memes about that, and you know,
right. That's gonna be an interesting episode. Trent, are there any other movies that you are interested in?
I mean, that's basically my list. I'm sure there are a few more that like I'm a little interested in, but in terms of like movies that I'm definitely looking forward to, you know, counting down the days, I would have to say, you know, Oppenheimer, Renfield, Cocaine Bear, Spider-Verse, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and 65, even though it has a stupid title, but I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's a fairly intriguing concept. When you think
right,
about it, like other than Jurassic Park, there's not a whole lot of stuff that's done with dinosaurs. I mean, I know there definitely is, but not a whole lot that like you know, when you think of dinosaurs in movies, you think of Jurassic Park. It's just kind of inevitable. But this
right.
could be like an interesting take on it. I've
I
seen people
think
compare it to the Ark game, which I haven't
okay.
played, but I can kind of see that. I've seen like other people play it, but yeah.
Yeah, it could take good on. I don't know how well it'll do, but we'll just have to see. I mean, I kind of agree with you. 65 has a stupid title.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a reference to like 65 million years ago or whatever, but yeah. I never
Yeah,
really like it when titles are just numbers, you know what I mean? Unless it's like a
right,
like, you know, 2012 or 1917 or something like that, but just
right.
65, it's just so plain, like it doesn't really say what the movie's about. Whereas like
Right.
a quiet place that tells you exactly what the movie's about, but you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Quiet
Regardless of
Place.
title, it could be a good movie.
Yeah,
There's plenty of movies with stupid titles that are really good.
there is. I mean, it's just weird.
Right. I mean,
So
I can't really think of any examples right now, but
right, right. Um. Well, Trent, what do you say? Do you think we'll be back talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
yeah, I mean, it is coming out this weekend or as of the time of this recording. So when we both see it, I'm sure there's going to be plenty to talk about. I'm hoping it's good. Honestly,
I'm
uh,
hoping this too.
even though Marvel, they haven't been putting out their best work lately. I'm not, hoping for their downfall or whatever. I still like, Peyton Reed. I like Paul Rudd. So it's not the same case of like, Taika Waititi just, being lazy and being on
Right.
autopilot, and Chris Hemsworth
Right.
awkwardly laughing his way through it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
think that they are dedicated to making a good project rather than just expecting people to be a good project. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about Ant-Man 3, or Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And guys, and listen, we got some ideas on the top that's going to be coming up. So be on, and please subscribe to our channel if this type of stuff that you're interested in. I mean,
Yeah,
we love all the support we can get. So.
yeah, and let it be said, this was a topic that was, requested of us. So if you have any different topics, something that we haven't mentioned before, go ahead and leave a comment. We'll see if we can get around to it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's a ton to talk about, and there's not really much, off the table, and for me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, guys, if we cannot make it very wide away, please be patient with us. I mean, we're both kind of busy, so that's sorry.
Right, right. Well, give us enough time to produce good work. You don't want to rush it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this one we were kind of trying to take our time with this, kind of thinking about what movies we kind of want to watch, for
Yeah,
2023.
let it be a Nolan piece, not a Waititi piece. So
There you go.
yeah,
Taika Waititi. Yeah, your name's pretty bad. You got a bad name right now, Taika
yeah. Which
Waititi. After
he
you
has.
screw up Thor: Love and Thunder. So.
Yeah, I mean, he has a new project coming out in 2023. I don't know what it's called, but I think it has Michael Fassbender in it. It's about like a football coach or something like that. But I mean,
Oh, really?
I just kind of saw it whenever I was scrolling through 2023 anticipated releases. So not I don't think there's like I don't know if there's a trailer out or anything out, but
Yeah, I haven't
it's
seen. I
it's
haven't
his next project. Maybe he'll have more of a passion for this one. So who knows? It
Yeah.
might be more of a Jojo Rabbit kind of thing.
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit. It was a decent movie.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against the guy, like personally. He
Yeah.
has made more good movies than bad ones, or at least that I've seen. But man, like,
Yeah, Thor: Love and
it,
Thunder. That was a joke.
yeah, you love to see a director try. Is my point.
Yeah, I mean, and Trent, did you? Is this was Thor: Love and Thunder? I think that was we watched the day after my birthday, wasn't it?
Yep.
And and Trent, I remember you told me, Jesse, I'm so sorry you had to see the embarrassment.
Yeah, it's like the worst gift ever. But at least we got the theater experience, so that's always fun.
Nah, ain't no problem. I mean, I was wanting to watch it when I was seeing a lot of people were saying Thor: Love and Thunder was bad. I was like, wait, it can't be good bad. And then when I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, what?
Yeah, I will say it wasn't as bad as Eternals. Eternals like actually gave me a headache.
Yeah,
Like that,
Eternals.
like
That was not.
I love going to a theater and watching a movie regardless of if it's good or bad. But Eternals was something else, man. I didn't enjoy myself at all. I felt like uncomfortable in my seat.
Right. I was just bored with Eternals. Like halfway through the movie, I was just bored with it.
I was
Like,
bored. I wanted to sleep. I wanted an ibuprofen. Like
oh, did you?
it hurt me. You know what I mean?
Right. Just give you a major headache. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do too well on Eternals. But anyway, yeah. Eternals. Honestly, I don't know if they're. I hope they don't make another Eternals, especially because I heard that it didn't do very good. So.
They probably won't. They'll probably do something with Black Knight, if anything, but I don't know if the actual Eternals will show up again. Maybe, not of their own project, but they might be mentioned or, have a
Right.
brief moment in somebody else's project.
Right. Yeah. But. Oh man, Marvel, we're cheering on you. We hope you can pick things back up.
Yep. Nolan too.
No one,
Uh,
yeah.
Renfield pulling for
Redfield,
Nicolas Cage. He's making. I mean, you can call it a comeback, but he's always been around. He's always been giving it his all.
right?
I think he got a lot of crap for but before like the Mandy days or whatever. But he's a when you really look into it, he is a person who loves what he does, and he doesn't deserve like the crap that people give him.
Right.
And if you watch any movie with him, it's obvious he gives 110%. And I think Renfield is a project that's going to be really good for him. So
Yeah, and same with Mission Impossible. I mean, I think it's going to be a good one. So,
yep, going to be a year packed with action. It's going to be a strange year for film as well, with things like Cocaine Bear, Renfield, Barbie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and like I said before, and kind of like what you said about Nicolas Cage. Yeah, I think. I mean, we're thinking Tom Cruise can give 100% or 110% the next two Mission Impossible. So.
I think if he gave anything less than 110%, he'd probably blow his next stunt. So I think he's gonna have to go all in. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
You can't cross the road halfway. You got to go. You got to make it to the end. So.
Yep, you got to finish it off. Finish what you started.
Yep.
Whoa. Anyway.
Well, I mean, that's all I have to say about my most anticipated movies. I think we had a good discussion, and I'm looking forward to this year of film. So I think there's going to be a lot we're going to be able to talk about.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm looking forward to some of these movies that we just brought up. And guys, like Trent said, if you got a request that you would like for us to talk about, please leave a comment down below, and please subscribe, and that way you get a notification for our next video.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we love hearing from you guys. Tell us you hate us if you want. I don't care. But
there you go.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, it's always good to hear. Yeah.
Right, there you go. So.
All right. Well, I suppose that's all we had to say. This is, the one and only After School podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. I have been Trent Kelsey.
I have been Jesse Johns.
And away we go.
Goodbye.